fuel bills go through the roof, people want to find ways to save money. The key question is, what's the best way to do it?
So over the past few weeks, we've been investigating that very question in the Dartmoor town of Ashburton.
We're energy consultants and we've visited 12 typical properties in the town, 10 homes and 2 community buildings. We've been delving into every nook and cranny of the buildings in this town, and here are the key points that we've unearthed.
Many of the buildings we've visited had inadequate loft insulation. Many had 1/3 of the recommended depth, which is approximately 30 centimetres of mineral wool. Checking what you have in your roof is one of the easiest steps to reduce energy. Most people think that their roof loses the greatest amount of heat, whereas often it's actually the walls. If your house has cavity walls, then filling them is relatively cheap and a very effective way of reducing heat loss. There are still millions of homes in the UK with unfilled cavities, and both loft and cavity wall insulation are heavily subsidised by energy companies and are sometimes even free. For independent advice on local grants and discounts, you should contact the Energy Savings Trust. For buildings with solid stone walls, the solution is more complicated and expensive, but it is still worth investigating as the energy savings can be significant. However, there are issues relating to moisture control and planning, and we recommend that you seek expert advice.
If your boiler is more than 10 to 15 years old, it's worth looking into the benefits of replacing it. New boilers are far more efficient than older ones, providing more useful heat for the same cost. The more that you can control where your heat is delivered, when it's turned on, and the temperature that you would like, the more efficient your system will be and the less fuel you will use. If you have central heating, you should have a room thermostat, programmable timer, and thermostatic radiator valves. These work together to heat your home simply and effectively, saving you money in the process.
To really understand how drafty your property is, you need to undertake a blower door test with a skilled professional. We've carried out pressure tests to determine how much heat is being wasted through drafts from homes in Ashburton. As you'd expect, the older properties in Ashburton leak through, for example, drafty doors and sash windows, open fireplaces, and numerous cracks in buildings. Draft proofing is cheap and effective, and open fireplaces can easily be sealed with chimney balloons, which are very cheap and easy to install, and single glazed sash windows can be improved through secondary glazing and or physical improvements to the sash by a skilled carpenter. Even the modern buildings we visited would benefit from draft proofing and sealing the cracks. One of the ways we can make an energy audit come to life is by trying to visualise the heat and how it flows around a property. The way we do this is by using thermal imaging. Now, you're looking at me on a thermal imaging screen at the moment, and you can see my face is warmer, around 30 where it should be, and that shows up as a red or yellow colour, a warmer colour. And where it's colder around me, that colour is sort of a cold dark blue. Now, when we use the thermal imaging camera in conjunction with a blower door test, as we have for all of the audits in Ashburton, we suck air out of the properties. Now, by sucking air out, the cold air is forced into the properties. Now, that cold air will show up as dark blue relative to everything else. So we can use the thermal imaging camera to go around and show us where air cracks in the building fabric or around glazing or around loft hatches is trying to enter the property, and therefore give us an idea where we can quickly and simply use draft proofing and other techniques to reduce that air infiltration.
People are often reluctant to spend money up front to save energy.
The government's Green Deal initiative will allow you to borrow money to pay for energy efficiency measures in your home.
The repayments will be less than the savings, meaning that you're not out of pocket.
So whether it's upgrading your insulation or changing your inefficient boiler, Green Deal assessors will work with you to work out what are the best energy efficiency measures for your home. You can check out more at the website.
Upgrading single glazed windows through secondary or double glazing can reduce heat loss through your windows by 50%, but this can be expensive. However, we've found a great example of a DIY secondary glazing option that could cut the cost by 80% and could do a great job just with a sheet of perspex and draft strip.
Several of the houses we visited in Ashburton were using oil or electric heating despite having a gas mains close by in the road. Gas is substantially cheaper for every unit of heat generated, so it is worth investigating switching fuels. We also found several people who were paying more than the going rate for their gas or electricity. It's worth regularly checking a comparison website for different suppliers and tariffs. It's also a good idea to regularly take meter readings to keep on top of your fuel use and to ensure that you're not being overcharged. Several of the householders we visited had prepayment meters as well for their gas and electricity. These are nearly always more expensive and a high daily charge on top of the cost of fuel. If you own your house, then it's relatively simple to have the meter removed and changed. And if you're a tenant, you should also try asking your landlord if you can have it taken out and changed as well.
We came across several old electrical appliances that were eating up electricity. When buying new appliances, look out for the Energy Efficiency Recommended logo, or A-star rated appliances. Most people now use some low energy light bulbs. They typically use 5 times less electricity for the same light output and last around 8 times longer. Halogen bulbs are particularly power hungry and in many cases can be swapped for ultra low energy LED lights. We also visited several people who leave appliances on standby. How much electricity appliances use on standby can vary enormously depending on the manufacturer. To be sure, it's best to turn everything off at the plug.
Once you've ensured that your building is well insulated and relatively draft-free, it's then worth considering installing renewable energy technologies, such as solar PV for electricity and solar thermal for hot water. However, planning issues must be taken into consideration, and we'd recommend speaking with your local planning officer prior to any decision.
We've been working for the last couple of years in the town just to promote awareness and to advocate around sustainability issues and the steps that people can take to engage in it. But it's complicated and there's quite a lot of counter-information and also an understanding of people. It's a sense of powerlessness sometimes. People feel it's too big an issue to deal with. So what we've managed to do with this project is to focus on the reality of people's lives in terms of their houses, how their house operates and how it can be improved by the way they run the house, but also by the practical measures they can take, cost-effective measures they can take to improve the running of their house, to make it more sustainable for them, both in terms of reducing costs, but actually more comfortable to live in as well.
During our time in Ashburton, we've uncovered loads of issues in relation to energy use, many of which have simple and low-cost solutions.
Now it's your turn to start saving energy and money and reduce your carbon footprint.